Welcome back to Chow Time Pod. It's your host, Red. Again, videos today from Jack Morgan. Please like, comment, subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. See that chow. It's chow time.
Maria. All right, we sound good. So, society's moving backwards. I'm not just making this up. We're going to have some fun today. If you're new here, welcome. And I think this is the most important one right here, okay? Hear this guy out. He may seem like he's joking, but he's not.
We're officially going backwards as a society and a civilization.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of shit in my 25 years. A lot of fucking weird shit. But today, did I think going into the barbershop today that I'd see some little broccoli-haired bastard attempt to pay his barber with Apple Pay? Barber's, no,
Ding. Cash.
He's like, you gotta give me cash. You don't take Apple Pay? You don't take fucking... What world do you fucking come from that you pay a barber with Apple Pay? What's that? You're gonna ask him to put a fucking line of credit on a haircut? No. Cash. Okay, all you kids and your fucking cryptos, cash is being overlooked here.
I 100% agree.
Is declining.
I'm a big cash guy. Again, I'm Asian. I grew up in the era of cash. My dad always has cash. I always have cash. Asian establishment, the good ones that are hole in the wall, only want cash. They don't accept freaking credit cards or anything else. So cash is king to my knowledge, and still is.
And we got to bring it the fuck back.
Okay, so he's not tripping.
Nope.
The whole cashless society thing, I
don't
actually
like it.
think that's a step backwards. I don't think it's smart. I don't like it. Now, excuse the noise you'll hear outside. We got some people painting the house, and they're being a little disruptive. But, hey, they got to get that money, and the house looks like shit. We need it painted. Now, speaking of places looking shitty, this is something else I've noticed that's moving backwards. And that's just like...
Oh, I didn't even think about it, like how fast food establishments look different now. He is right.
Quality of buildings, everything, basically. But this right here, check this out.
Can someone who understands or studies trends and marketing explain this transition that's happening in restaurant design to me, where we're taking these really colorful spaces and we're turning them into like corporate banks? It's a really confusing phenomenon to me because everything I hear about marketing to millennials is that millennials are motivated by nostalgia. And so I don't understand this move from nostalgic interiors that are still functional to these more gray box spaces.
I'm also confused by that.
She's not tripping before we get into this. But look at this real fast. This is like when you went in somewhere, this was it. It was fun.
Even donut stores had the similar designs to this back in the day.
You know what I mean? From the buildings being built. I mean, seriously, it's almost like they've taken minimalism too far, right? And even the way people dress.
I think it's they want to put out that elite look. Everything that looks elite or looks high end just looks very boxy, very plain looking. I think that's where they're going for, because when you think of iPhones, you think of luxury, classy, and they're just super plain phones.
Now, like, I don't just walk around in a red leather jacket, although I'd like to. But I live in South Florida, and it's just a little too hot. But I even catch myself sometimes just dressing like absolute shit, just like a tank top. And not that that's shitty, but it's something to think about, though. It really is. I don't know why. I don't get it. Maybe it's too much money to make things look like this now.
Possible.
But things do feel bland. Even sports jerseys. Seriously, I should have pulled some of those up. Something to think about.
Interiors that are still functional to these more gray box spaces.
Huge news. Elon Musk announced he's going to start selling the Tesla homes in 2025. But the crazy thing is, they're only going to be $12,000.
So let me get this straight. Does it drive?
Yeah, right.
Because your cars cost $12,000. Your cars cost about 4 times that, but they actually drive around. I'd rather live in a van, to be honest with you. I mean, I know, but this is where it's kind of going. You know, went from really nice.
Yeah, all you know, he's like need land. So just get land somewhere, cheap land. Plop one of these on there. You're good to go, I guess.
Homes to a Tesla house, or just live in your Tesla or a van. I love
Let me
it.
know in the
Just need a
comments
Tesla.
if you would live in one.
Back in my day, the economy was so good, I was addicted to Oxycontin and still had my own place.
Jeez. Woo! The man ain't lying. The man ain't lying.
Now, that was funny, and that is a valid point. But I threw that jacket off because today I'm actually moving forward. It's taken me a long time to do this, but I finally have a ghetto website up. All right, there's a lesson to be learned here. You could go to jackmorganrlp.sellfy.store. All right, this one's kind of trippy, like the future of America. If the next 40 years repeats itself, by 2064 we will see these prices. A new car, $151,000.
Wow.
Average rent,
Average.
$1,900 a week, so about $8,000 a month. That actually doesn't seem too far off. Your average salary would be $326,000.
I wish. Holy cow.
Too bad.
I highly doubt
Average
that
house
one.
price would be around $5.5 million. But that seems pretty accurate. I mean, from some dude on a boat. I mean, if you own a boat, you got to be doing pretty well. So I'm gonna trust this. I'm gonna trust these numbers here. Anyways, just something to think about. We're getting kooky today. We're gonna have some fun. All right. Here's another thing that we're talking about with the buildings and everything. A fountain built in 1651. Look at this. God level Zeus.
I agree.
You know, from
Like the Greek buildings, the Roman buildings, they're all so much more intricate. And they're still up. They're still up. They're still up. That's the great thing about a lot of these structures. They're still up after 300 plus years or so. Holy cow.
from the stars, Greek men with penis, but then you got the fountains built in 1971. This piece of shit. That actually looks like something built today. You should see some of the structures they built down the street from me. God, I should have went and got photos of those. It is what it is. Something to think about. Okay? We're just talking here. All right?
No, I watched this little snippet of just how society resets itself, and when it resets itself, it loses all the technology of the prior society. And there are some things that back in the 100 years ago it was unfathomable at that time, and now we can't reproduce a lot of those technologies, which is very similar to pyramids and things like that.
Anyways, this guy, this one's rich. Talk about going backwards. This guy's the best.
The Western world at the moment, everything is backwards. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's look at a couple of examples. You see, we used to listen to our politicians and laugh at comedians, whereas today, we laugh at our politicians and we listen to our comedians.
And these Latinos, they love making...
This is the best. This is Tony Hinchcliffe from the Trump rally. Fantastic.
And these Latinos, they love making babies, too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country.
The media is supposed to tell us the truth, tell us the facts about what is happening around the world, and then you and I are able to form opinions off of the facts that we have been given. Whereas we know that they don't give us facts anymore. They give us their own opinions, and then us as the general populace have to figure out what is actually true and what is false.
True.
You look at our taxes. We are paying some of the highest taxes in this country since the war and just after. Yet our quality of life has absolutely plummeted.
But this is what I meant earlier, too, about the way we dress and stuff like that. I like to kind of dress nice, but I find myself just out in public like this. I'm not saying you can't dress nice just being a t-shirt.
No, I 100% agree with you, Jack. Most people back then had very intricate clothes, very nice clothing. They wore certain sets of clothes outside. Now, yeah, I'm with you, Jack. I wear the exact same t-shirt everywhere I go.
Wearing some nice pants that fit you good. But this is just kind of, look at the standard here. You know what I mean? There's a regular guy. I don't know. Maybe he was super important. But this is kind of, how America went from being a global leader to a struggling nation in just a few decades. And we all know how that is going. And basically, that dude could support this. Check this. This is going to make sense. That dude supported that whole family. I'm willing to bet just with one job, chilling.
Yep,
okay,
normal
we don't need
job,
to talk
too.
too much about that. But this is now right here. This is where this guy used to live. Not that guy. This other guy about to come on the screen. It's going to make sense. All right. And in just 1 year, this is the unnecessary reality for a lot of people. He's living in his car. And you know why he doesn't live in Elon Musk's new, Tesla spaceship home thing? Jetsons thing? It's because he doesn't have $12,000 to go buy that or land to put it on.
Yeah. No, it feels like we're going backwards into the mobile home era, right? The mobile home era was just people owning a mobile home lot and people coming in, parking their mobile home and just living there, paying rent to the land, even though they own the home. It literally seems like it's going that direction again.
Classic. Another thing, too, that's kind of moving backwards is just families.
Yeah.
What family used to look like, right? This is her, some dude's mom.
I admit this. So my family, we usually have a Thanksgiving get together. We haven't had it for like 3 years or so because of the pandemic and stuff. But I remember growing up, it was always like this. Pictures, everybody coming together, so much food. We're doing it again this year on Thanksgiving. I'm hoping it's nostalgia of everything coming back together. Because we look at it now, all of my cousins, we know each other. We know each other very well. We know who they are. But the next generation, my cousins' kids, actually have no clue who anybody is because we don't get together like we used to anymore.
And their great grandparents. This was the family function, okay? And I had a very similar upbringing to
Same.
this. A bunch of cousins. I don't have any brothers or sisters. That's been declining. But I had a bunch of cousins, and then my mom, her 4 siblings, the grandparents. Now half of my family's dead, and none of the cousins have had a kid yet.
Oof.
All 6 of us have had not one fucking kid.
That's crazy, bro. Like for my family, my dad is the only one that doesn't have grandkids yet. All of his other siblings and all of my cousins, they all have kids, they all have families already, and they all actually have multiple kids. I can only think of one cousin that only has one kid. Everybody else has at least 2 to 3. So our family's still growing, but my dad, me, my siblings, and I, we don't have kids. We're not married. Oh, I'm not married anymore. My brother is not married. My sister is not married. So the new trend seems to be going that way.
Okay? And none of us have any brothers and sisters. Actually, 4 of my cousins are brothers and sisters. None of them have any kids. I'm 35. They're all 30 now. Or
Damn.
34. 30 to 35.
Yeah, for me, my dad is one of the youngest. We have one aunt that's younger than us, but she lives in Australia. So my dad is considered the youngest man, the youngest male. And yeah, I am 38, and my brother is actually the same age as my oldest little cousin. So even though he's considered their uncle, he's actually the same age as one or two of them.
Okay? So this was our family function. See if you can see that. Okay?
Damn.
This
That's
was
nice.
the Dewan family party. All right? There's me right there. There's my dad. Right? There's me. This was every year we would do this big fucking thing. They'd rent out this big space. And we haven't done it in 10 years.
Yep.
And now Christmas is like me and 3 people.
Yep.
Yeah. That's Christmas now. Not every year. But point is this is disappearing. And
To me, it's disappearing because the older generation is dying. And they are the ones that propagated these traditions and like kind of forced these traditions moving on. Now that they are gone, the younger generation did not pick up the same mentality that how important these things were, these gatherings were. I definitely don't think that our generation or even the younger generation understand it whatsoever. But traditions are traditions for a reason. They were done for a particular reason for such a long time that we might have lost the idea of why we do it, but it was done for a particular reason. And once it's gone, it's when you kind of realize, oh, that's why we came together all the time, so we can know each other and constantly, like not be strangers, even though we're family.
And I think it's good for society. Anyways,
Agreed.
keep this party moving. All right, this one was great. Everyone seems to have had grandparents that smoked cigarettes their whole lives, fought in 2 wars, didn't give a shit about diet, and still lived to be 95 years old.
True.
Whereas kids today are practically allergic to the air. Something toxic has made us more fragile. We're not going to go too deep on that, okay? And susceptible to disease. I honestly just couldn't read the word susceptible, so I almost gave up on it. But I need to work on that. But that's true. Literally. Both of my grandfathers lived to their mid-90s. They both smoked like chimneys. But, you know what? We're not going to go too deep down the rabbit hole. But I'm willing to bet it's, the whole food thing.
Yeah.
At least in America. The organic
We
food
just have so much processed food, and people don't really cook like that anymore. So
industry has grown into a $60 billion market. But the high price of organic food means that the healthier options still remain out of reach for low-income families. Wow. But here's the funny part. It's not like back in the day, everything was just organic this and organic that. No, it was just food in the grocery store.
yep, and it was good.
You know what I mean? Like, I did a whole video on this called The Food Problem in America about 5 videos ago.
I'll check it out.
I mean, the food's just shit. It's just crap. Now we have to make other food that says, this isn't crap food. Right? And if it doesn't say this isn't crap food, then it's crap food. I know. So it's funny. It's healthier to smoke cigarettes and eat food from the 50s than to not smoke cigarettes and, try and navigate your way through the grocery store. Anyways, this is another classic one, kind of has to do with food. Dude's out here selling fruits and vegetables, but this is a man getting arrested for trying to feed his family.
I actually 100% agree that this is stupid. Like, what is wrong with this in a sense? I get the whole FDA. He might not be, healthy foods, but man, people are just trying to make a living. All right. I love the fruit stands in my neighborhood. I go to them all the time, getting the fruit with the chamoy and tahini and stuff. I love supporting my little local, like, what are they, little pop-up shops, I guess is what you call them.
Because, you need a permit to do everything. And it's not like this dude, how much you want to bet if this dude was selling Coca-Cola and Doritos? This wouldn't have been a problem. I'm just kidding. I'm not that nuts.
Possible.
But this is where it's at, okay? Like, anytime I do videos that is too out there, I'm just going to start putting them to Patreon. But that's something to think about, dude. You got arrested for selling fruits and vegetables.
Might as well just arrest the kids that are putting their freaking lemonade stands out there. What's the big difference?
Makes perfect sense. The Twilight Zone, I swear. This one, the man who shot 2 burglars that broke into his home is now sentenced to life in prison. So,
What?
there you go. That's the extent I'm going to go with law enforcement and all that. Basically, you can't defend yourself. And don't you dare sell fruits and veggies without a permit. Oh. Or else, buddy.
I miss the days when people used to like have little businesses in their house, and that's how it is in Cambodia. Like, people would live on the top floor, and the bottom floor would be like their restaurant and business. So I kind of think we should bring that back.
All right, let's keep this. All right, we're gonna switch gears here. All right, now this is another thing. We think I talk about cars a lot on this channel because I like cars. I like driving. But this is an auto mechanic. All right, I actually like this guy, Gino here. Hey, Gino baby. New cars aren't reliable, but he's not just talking about that. No. This guy goes deep here. Check this out.
Kind of scary because all these used cars are going to be sold like hotcakes. A lot of the parts are going to have to be man-made. I had another comment that this is like Cuba, and it's 100% right.
Oh, yes, I get it. I remember the Cuba thing where America stopped importing cars. So all the cars that they have there, they just had to fix and redo and build new parts for them because they couldn't get new cars or new parts. I guess fabricators now would be a good industry, guys. Maybe start thinking about fabricating auto parts and things like that. Just how my brain kind of just churning. I'm like, oh man, if I jumped into a fabrication industry about these with these older cars, I might make some money.
Now, when he says this is about like Cuba, this is important. I actually have a friend, his name's Tone Talks. He's got a YouTube channel as well called Tone Talks. He said this to me recently as well. Kind of like we're being forced. We can't afford these new cars. So we're almost being forced into these really old cars. But it gets deeper than that. Speaking of Cuba here.
Things are going in the direction that they're going with the amount of money that people are making and the way that the technology for automobiles are moving. There's going to be a lot like Cuba, and we're going to have to start making parts, and we're going to have to start putting different engines in different things because they ain't going to be reliable as much as we say they are. Once they're at the end of their service life, person with Honda Civic, if you hit 300,000 miles in your Honda Civic, that's great. It's at the end of its service life at that point because you're going to look at the price tag and what it's going to cost to fix it, and you're going to go, at that point, I might as well just buy something new. And that's the problem. This is the issue. We can't just keep replacing all of these massive things.
I 100%
I think
agree.
he's got a point because I'm forced into driving. Not forced into it. I could go get a car payment, but like I'm just not comfortable spending 30, 40 grand on a car. Even 20 grand on a car, on a used car. That's not even what I want. I'm just not. But speaking of Cuba, so I looked up like why does Cuba have, everybody drive old cars? So after the Cuban Revolution, the U.S. Imposed a embargo on Cuba, making it difficult to import new cars and parts. This helped preserve the existing cars, which are often family heirlooms. Okay, Cubans have found creative ways to keep their cars running, such as using parts from other vehicles like washing machines and tractors, and even making their own parts from herbs and oils.
Damn.
Wow. Now, I love classic cars. It starts talking about classic cars. But that's just kind of like, it's kind of trippy to think that that's, because that's why I bought my car, my 2007 Mercury Grand Marquis. I said, that was a cop car. They got to be good. Same reason I owned a Ford Fusion. It was a cop car, right? It's got to be a lot of parts, a lot of them made, reliable. And that's basically how, like, some of these other countries think. It's like, are we really moving in the right direction?
No.
And if we have mechanics saying that these new cars are
Trash.
they're not going to be nowhere near as reliable as, when we...
I can actually 100% agree with that. A lot of the new cars just have too much technology, too much computer chips and things like that that can fail. I like the analog back in the day. I wish I was able to get a classic Porsche, maybe a classic 911 in like the 80s or something, but I could not afford that.
hit this golden standard between, I'd say, the 70s to the, early 2000s. Anyways, something to just, I'm not going to say it again, but something to think about. I'm going to say it the whole video. Something to fucking think about. All right.
I appreciate these videos, Jack, because sometimes I don't even think of some of these things, and it's good to kind of be aware, right? To be aware of where things are going, so you maybe can be able to plan your life a little bit better. Obviously, I planned a little bit differently than a lot of us, which, because I got the Porsche and stuff. But if I was, working my normal 3 jobs that I used to work and making my normal salary, I would have definitely been more into just keeping my 2017 Acura RDX and maybe even getting a different, older car too.
Now, this one's kind of trippy, too. All right? Now, you guys might not know who any of these influencers are. I barely know who they are. But this is kind of crazy to think. This chick goes, the Haktua girl and Lieutenant Dan will most likely become millionaires. And I'm supposed to convince my kids that school is important.
All right, that one. Yes, maybe those two people would be famous and rich, but it's having great education and having a great job from your education with a great career from it. I think it's going to be a much better route for sure. That's just the problem. I think people see the glitz and glamour and the fast money that influencers and people that just blow up get. It's what you expect to just become viral all of a sudden. It's just not plausible for a majority of people. It's just random.
Now, I'll break this down. Lieutenant Dan, I'm not exactly sure who that is.
I don't know
I'm
who that
assuming he does some stupid stuff on social media. I could be wrong. But the Haktua girl is a girl who became famous for making a blowjob gesture
Pretty much.
on camera. That's
I
it.
agree with
Talking
you
about
on that one,
sucking
Jack,
dick.
yeah.
And now she's literally famous. Okay, and Lieutenant Dan, I'm not sure who that is. I think he's just some half-ass like jokester guy. I'm sure he's kind of funny, but that's where it's at. Even somebody like me, where I could just come on here, talk, make a decent living, and I didn't go to school. It's kind of hard to put an importance on school when you got shit like this here going on, and some girl going,
I can agree.
spit
with
on that
Yeah,
dick.
I get you.
Now I'm famous. Pay me. Kind of crazy. We're not going to go too deep into that, but she's got a point. Anyways, let's circle back full circle, okay? She'll be coming around that mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around that mountain. Cashless society. All right? I harp on this a lot. How many of you guys carry cash?
Again, as my family, we're being Asian and traditional Asian, my family loves cash. My family thinks cash is king. My family has S loads of cash like stored away. They don't ever think that it's going to go cashless, and they do not want that because, in a sense, when things became cashless already, do you guys understand that who's making money off of this shit? It's the banks and the credit card companies and the Visas and the MasterCards of the world. They have just put their foot down, and now all transaction they're going to get 3%. Almost 3 to whatever percentage they want from every transaction now. For what? This is the problem I have a lot with using credit cards and stuff. Even though I love my points, I'm not saying I don't. But cash is definitely king because I'm not getting taxed any extra. The person that I'm buying something from isn't getting taxed anything extra because it's straight cash. Anytime I use a credit card, $20, he gets charged 3%. So because he gets charged 3%, he's going to make my $20 item into like a $22, $23 item so he doesn't fully lose the 3% on his end. So it just constantly makes things more expensive. And the people that are just benefit from it are just middlemen like MasterCard, Visas, and all the banks and stuff. They're just sitting there, just like, up, transaction, let me get that 3%. Up, transaction, 3%. Crazy amount of money because there's crazy amount of transactions going on.
Seriously, raise of hands. Okay, good. At least one person in this room. The truth is, though, is a lot of people don't carry cash. No. But this guy makes a valid point, and we could trust him because he's driving a fancy car.
Yeah.
Reading this article about moving to a cashless society, and I was kind of wondering who's pushing that.
The government.
Well, we're about a $26 trillion economy, and I read that about 19% of that is spent in cash. So that's roughly, we'll call it $5 trillion. If they could move that $5 trillion in cash over to credit cards, and the credit card companies currently charge about 2.5%.
Boom, boom.
That's an extra $125 billion a year in fees.
Yep.
Back to the credit card company.
Boom. This was exactly going where I thought it was going.
Now we know who wants to go to cashless society.
Yep. Told you, it's the Visa, MasterCard, Discover, whatever freaking cards logo is on your freaking business, your bank card and credit card. He ain't wrong. I've been
Makes
thinking
sense
about it
to
too.
me. Tax it all.
Yep.
Don't forget the fees. Shipping and handling.
Mm-hmm.
This guy Big Ward, he's a cool YouTuber. I like him, but he made a funny remark not too long ago, and he goes, "Oh, he goes, I get it." He's like, "I get why you don't carry cash. It's hard. It's hard to go and go, here's a 20."
And get
he goes,
change.
"It's difficult to do." And I was like, He's got a good point because, you know, that's what a lot of people say. It's like we brag about not carrying cash and this and all that. But I don't think convenience, full-blown convenience is the way. Things are just getting really difficult. Like everything's two-step verification. You know what I mean? It's like we're going to set ourselves up to where this is the money, this is the camera, this is your job, this is your entertainment. It's going to get to the point where if you don't have this,
It's almost there already, Jack.
good luck. Even homeless people have this.
True. How many homeless videos have we done where they all have cell phones still?
I'm just saying. Anyways, we're going to end this down on a positive note here, okay?
Why have I never...
Oh, I forgot I even put this in here. Okay. This one's kind of trippy to think about. It took the time it took the United States to print $1 trillion. This is some wild stuff here.
Ever heard anybody talk about the time it took the United States to print $1 trillion? The first $1 trillion took 200 years to print. Where now today, trillions are getting printed every 6 months. And that's no surprise when you understand this debt-based monetary system and that the first $1 trillion of debt we got in took 220 years. Where now we're adding $1 trillion worth of debt every 100 days, and we're in $35 trillion worth of debt. Again, 220 years to get the first $1 trillion worth of debt, and now just every 100 days we're adding that same $1 trillion. That just makes me think, I wish we had money that just didn't rely on this debt Ponzi scheme, and that money wasn't just created infinitely for free when a new loan is created. Oh wait. Yeah, this is why I crypto.
Agreed.
Remember what I just said, though.
Yeah,
Okay, I get the trillion. That's just kind of trippy. I didn't know about the trillions, and every 100 days it's a trillion. It's crazy. I'm just trying to save $50,000.
Pretty much.
But with the crypto, it's all, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's all reliant
technology.
on. I wish I could pick this computer up, but I want to mess up the connection here. But that's like the issue with it. It's getting really confusing. It's like the more advanced we're getting, the more I have to know. I need a password for everything. I need a password for my fucking money. See what it's just having the conversation here. Okay, now let's end this on a positive note. I thought this was hilarious. Humans really saw all of this and saw all of this beautiful nature here. And created a 40-hour work week, car payment, and 30-year mortgages. Anyways, I don't know the answers. Just something to think about.
Shout out to Jack. I've been thinking about the whole cashless thing so much lately, especially crypto and all these things. I'm like, man, I love cash. And I hate that, everything I use my credit card and almost everything else that we use, it's getting an extra tax that we don't realize that it's an extra tax, which are the fees. Please comment, subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And please subscribe to Chow Time 2.0. Ciao.